Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. This show is about one thing and one thing only, turning your gym into a thriving business you love to own. So if you want to know what it really takes to grow your membership, make more money, and build a rock-solid community of raving fans, you've come to the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. I am Marcus Guerzi, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about selling retail, why you should be doing it, as well as what to do and what not to do in order to get the most out of this often very under-leveraged pillar within the business. So, all right, so let's start off with why even sell retail. I've heard all sorts of reasons from gym owners why some choose not to sell it at all, and it always kind of blows my mind. So excuses like, I sell training, not products. It's too expensive. I don't have the cash to get started with it. It isn't worth it. The margins are too slim, or I don't know what to carry, and so on. So I'll be addressing all of those in today's episode. But retail is a great way to add value for your members and an easy way to increase your average client value at the same time. So let's start with supplements, for example. So your members ultimately most of them will go out and buy some sort of products, and they are now at the mercy of whatever 18-year-old is working at GNC who doesn't know his R's from his elbow to guide them on what product to choose, and ends up selling them a bunch of crap they don't need that probably does more harm than good. And they really just end up buying subpar product and wasting their money, right? When instead, you could have saved them the trip and provided them with something that you have personally vetted because you know what you're looking for, while contributing revenue to the gym, which in turn only helps really improve, help you run a better business because you're able to pay your staff better or yourself better for that matter. You can make improvements to the gym, all of which benefit your members, right? So there's really not a good reason why you shouldn't be carrying it. And when it comes to apparel, for example, apparel is an obvious one, guys. This is a way for you to make additional profit while creating walking billboards for your business, all while giving your members fun stuff to wear that they are happy to buy and proud to wear because it represents a place of positivity for them. It's a representation of something that they are proud of in their life, right? So again, total win-win. Why the heck wouldn't we do it? So now you can get into selling, equipment, jump ropes and all that, but that's not really what I'm going to focus on here today. I'm going to kind of keep it simpler here today, and we're going to focus kind of on those core elements between kind of supplements and apparel, and maybe some little things that we can add on to that. But all right, so retail. Like I said at the beginning, guys, this is a wildly underutilized opportunity within your business. In the gyms that I work with, I see very few people when we start working together that really are taking advantage of the opportunity. And my goal oftentimes is it's based off of roughly around, and this can vary depending on the model, but let's just say your traditional gym, I'd shoot for seeing a 15% or more percentage of revenue coming from your retail. If that is not the case, then this is an area that is unhealthy and you have a pretty good opportunity. Although we do see some people who grow that up to 25, 30+% as well. So it can change, and it depends on, your demographic and, obviously your style choices and all that sort of thing. But either way, it is an opportunity to provide value to your members and for you to make money. And the challenge that I see is that most people who are doing retail, they're just flat out doing it wrong. They are tying up too much revenue or too much money in either slow selling product or product that is not selling at all, and now it's just sitting on a shelf collecting dust. They stock too many products. They get way too many SKUs, or they're just flat out stocking the wrong products in the first place. And that just ends up taking up space, time, and money for little to no upside when it's not done right. And some people even lose money on their retail, which is just crazy, right? You took the money, took all the time and effort to, procure the product, get it in, to display it, and to have it sit there only to lose money in the long run, right? That kind of sucks. So let's talk about how we can do this right. So first of all, we want to make sure that we are choosing our product with intention and that we're choosing good products, right? You should be choosing products that you believe in. You want to make sure that it meets your margin goals, which for us, we shoot for an average 50% margin across the board with all of your retail as an average for our clients. It has to add value to your member experience, and a good practice is to pair products with services. So don't just randomly pick things. Make sure that it has a direct application and you can tell a story as to why you stock the product, not just because, hey, this is all the product that the vendor told us we should sell or could sell. Make sure you're being very deliberate in your choices. The next piece is to not overstock inventory. So oftentimes, we see people who just order way too much of everything just because they're trying to get their margins down. And if it's necessary for you to place these big initial orders for you to get the margin that you want, you might want to consider finding another vendor. And because the reality is that there are plenty of people out there who want the business or are willing to negotiate on those initial orders in the hopes of a longer term longer term relationship. So don't get caught up in your vendor's wants for a minimum sale as much as you need to determine what the minimum order is to start, and then try to find a good fit for that also obviously meets your criteria as far as the standards and all that. And guys, if you don't know, you don't ask, right? So if you have a vendor that you absolutely love the product, but the minimum is maybe a little too high, don't hesitate to ask and say, hey, look, we're a small business. We'd really love to carry your product, but your minimum is a little too high for us to start. Is there anything we can do for a starting order? Most people can make something happen, okay? So the other thing here around overstocking is to only stock the basics. You don't need to carry every SKU and every option available from the products that you sell. Pick the things that are these. What are the key products or the key flavors or the whatever sizes or cuts or whatever it is that you want to carry, and carry one or two of those that you know are going to be slam dunks. You can experiment with the other stuff and the pre-sale stuff we'll talk about here in a minute, and just carry the stuff that you know these are the consistent staples, right? So if we're talking about supplements, take your protein supplement and the top two flavors, and that's what you stock as your starting point. Doesn't mean that you can't carry the other things or to do pre-orders and tastings and things around other flavors. Now, obviously, as you become more established and you start to see, okay, these other flavors are also selling well, or you have a larger community that can support it, we can have that conversation. So I'm not saying don't ever do it, but if we're just trying to get ourselves cleaned up in the retail area, that's a good place to start. And when it comes to apparel, you're not an apparel company. You don't have to stock 5 or 6 different designs and things. Just carry one basic design, have a good men's cut, a good woman's cut, carry your minimums on your base on those on the key sizes that you know you're going to be able to sell to your members, and that's it. The rest is done through pre-sales. Let me see here. Okay, and so once we have those minimum inventory levels and those products established, we have now the opportunity to really capitalize on the pre-sales. So what we want to do with pre-sales is this is where we're going to make up for only carrying the minimums by doing the really fun stuff, whether it's the special flavors or it's brand new designs that can be seasonal. And you guys can do these every quarter. You can do them every month, whatever floats your boat. I'd say if you're just getting started out, do it every 6 months. Once you've gotten a rhythm going, and that would be per category. So maybe once every 6 months for your apparel, once every 6 months for your supplements. You can stagger that so you're alternating quarters throughout the year. It's a good place to start if your retail is really lacking. Once you start to get some traction, you can start to amp up the frequency and start to get to quarterly pre-sales and so on. And I even have some gyms that do them monthly or almost monthly, and they do really well. But that's because they've conditioned their community and they've got the volume and the experience and the design assets and all that to support that. So let me see here. So yeah, doing pre-orders rather than stocking everything. That way you don't have to outlay a bunch of cash before you know how well it's going to sell. You're going to save on shipping, by the way, too, because you only have to place one big order. And you can often negotiate, or you're going to hit your higher tiers for discounts to get the product for cheaper, right? So because you maybe instead of ordering only 10 hoodies, you're ordering 50 or 60 of them, because you did a big pre-order push and you sold it to a bunch of members. Great. Well, now you're going to get the best break on that price as well, right? So much better position. And most importantly, and especially for those of you who have the excuse that, I don't have the money to put into retail. Well, now you do. You're gonna do a good pre-order where you are going to promote and market this product before you actually have it. Maybe you order a sample, so you can have people see it, check it out. By the way, I encourage you, if you're going to do that, to have a blank or two in the key sizes so people can try them on. That's a big objection with people with pre-orders. But get that one order and those samples or blanks in and let people try it out. Push the pre-order and sell as many as you can. And that way, when you place the order, that's when you're actually charging everyone. You've collected the money and you can then pay the vendor for the product. Let's see here. All right. So the next big bogey on my radar is selling product in person versus selling online via an online store. Okay. So there are several companies out there who offer services to build out an online store to house your product so that you no longer have to have the inventory levels. And some of these companies belong to friends of mine. But here's the reality, that in most cases, this sounds like a much better option than it actually is. And personally, I have yet to see anyone actually increase their sales by switching to that model. Now, benefits to having an online store rather than having an in-person store are that you can have way more options. You can have way more SKUs because you don't actually have to have any of them in stock. They can just mock them up and they can have 5 different water bottles and 10 different t-shirts and hoodies and backpacks and patches and all sorts of fun stuff. And that looks really fun, right? You also don't have to outlay the cash for the inventory because they're just images on a website and there is no inventory in stock unless you decide to carry some of it in person. And it's basically done per order, right? So someone places the order and then that one single order is shipped to them. The drawbacks are, though, guys, is that there are going to be smaller margins, and that means you're going to make less per item sold, and you're going to actually sell less overall. So lower margin and lower volume usually don't help people hit their retail goals. Now, can this be done in a way to where you can still do well enough? And is this still a good fit for some? For sure. But in most cases, in most micro gym environments, a lot of these sales happen because they see it and they can grab it right there. The impulse factor plays a much bigger role in your sell-through rate than most people realize. And most people switch to these platforms and then they end up struggling, which is unfortunate. And they end up usually just having to switch back. Now, you can find a hybrid version to where you can have an online store like that and you can stock the minimum quantities in person to where you can still have that there so people see it, they can touch it, they can grab it and buy it right on the spot. And that way you can keep really low minimum inventory levels, and you can still offer all the other SKUs online, which you can do for fun, or you can use these for helping with pre-orders and all that. So there are versions of this that can work, but it ends up getting a little bit more complex than most people, at least in my experience, want to deal with. So just to recap here real quick, we want to choose our products with intention. We want to keep inventory levels minimum and do pre-orders regularly for product where we are collecting the cash for the product first and then placing the order. And we want to probably keep the product in person and sell either only minimal online or not online at all, so that we can actually keep the margins high and keep the overall volume high as well. And lastly, also what I would suggest is to infuse product into your new client journey so people are exposed to the product in the context of where it would apply. For example, supplements, probably a good idea to introduce that when you just gave them the big nutrition talk during onboarding or something like that, so that people get how this can help them rather than, hey, and by the way, we also sell some product, you should probably buy it, right? So take a look at your retail strategy and make sure that it is actually adding value to your business. And hopefully what we covered here today can help get you going in the right direction. That's it for today. I want to thank you for joining us here today. And if you're interested in learning how we can help you dial in your retail as well as your sales, marketing, retention, engagement, and all that as well, visit gymbreakthrough.com/apply and schedule a breakthrough session with me. We can get to know you, where you're at with your business, talk about your goals, where you're trying to go, and see how we might be able to help you get there. I promise you it'll be the best 45 to 60 minutes that you have spent on your business this month, because everyone will always leave with takeaways takeaways and a clear plan on what you need to do to get to your goals, regardless of whether you work with us or not. So that's it for us today. Thanks again. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.